Hello, friends. After last episode on how leaders should communicate, today we are going to go to the next step, or a little more detail, so to say, on how leaders and managers should communicate with their teams. And as I've said often enough over the past four episodes, communication is a skill that is vital not only for your success, for you to prosper and grow, but also to build relationships and trust with everybody whom you deal with. So let's delve right into it. And today's there are going to be pointers on how one should communicate with teams to create great, loyal, successful teams. Okay. So uh, let's start with the simple thing. A leader's job is not easy. I think I said this last time. I think I've said this a couple of times before also, that a leader's job is not easy. And it is tough and trying, very tiring to form and maintain strong relationships, especially with your teams. There are multiple people in the team who each have a different personality of their own, who each have a different task, always, not just often, always relevant and dependent on each other. Okay. So maintaining strong relationships with and within your team is very critical. And when you do this, when you communicate skillfully with your teams, what you're going to end up is with very happy teams. Happy teams bring greater success. Okay. And that greater success leads to higher productivity. And this entire cycle, basically starting with the team being happy, leads to greater success for the whole organization and for you, because at the end of the day, your performance is judged by how your team performs. So there are often times when, and in fact, I've received at least three messages that I can recall instantly, where people have told me that they've been thrust into a position of leadership. Well, they didn't say leadership, but where they've been thrust to a managerial position where they are now the leaders of a team, the head of a team. Okay. And they have not been groomed. They were not prepared for it. Nobody ever told them that this role is going to come into your this thing. As one guy said, that guy left and I was the choice. And I didn't know ever that I was going to be the choice. Okay. So they have not been groomed. They have not been trained. And they have not been prepared, even mentally or with their skills, to become a leader. And communication skills are essential to a leader, as two of them repeatedly pointed out, saying that in the first month itself, I've started having fights within my team, and a couple of team members are fighting with me also. Okay. So developing the skills is very important. Okay. So it would do well for people in this category who have been thrust into leadership or managerial positions without experience to really go ahead and listen to this episode very well. Okay. And once you develop the communication skills, you are automatically taking the next step for your success and to your path of growing within the organization and going up the rungs of the ladder. Okay. So what do we mean by when we say communication to with teams? So while we are going to look at some tips on how to communicate with as leaders and managers with your team, the increase in your communication skills, the betterment of your communication skills increases the motivation of the team. And once the team is motivated, we all know success is sure to follow. So what are the things that you can do to motivate your team? The first and foremost thing which I have believed in all my life is to do your work well. Lead by example, walk the talk. If you are doing your work well, you are setting an example to every team member that he should do his work well. And this is the best way to communicate. You don't need words, you don't need motivational speeches. What you need to do is to set an example, walk the talk, And when you do the work well, your work does the communicating for you. And that's a good asset. So your team will try to emulate you. Okay, that's what leaders and managers are all about. That their manager, the manager should be icons, should be somebody that the team looks up to. Okay, so they will try to emulate you. And also, when you communicate skillfully, and especially by this method of no words but walking the talk, you are creating respect for yourself from within the team. And the team will trust you even more because they have seen that you will do what you are asking them to do. And that makes a big difference. So, as we say, walk the talk. Okay. So, you will earn respect. There are times when you'll have to get your hands dirty. You might want to have to do things that are way below your pay grade, but do it all the same and do it well. Okay. There are various levels of team members. Now, there will be some tasks which might be routine, which are way below your pay grade, but do it. Do it well so that that person understands that what you're talking of, you are doing it yourself. The second thing you should remember is to clearly understand your goals and also the goals of your teammates. This sounds very funny, but it is very critical because you need to know your goals because you need to know how to succeed and how you're going to go up the ladder. But you need to know your team's goals, your team members' individual goals as far as possible. Depending on the size of the team, it may not be always possible, but you need to know your team goals. And why is that? Because only if you know your team goals will you not just be able to guide them on how to do the task best, but you will also be able to guide them on how to do the task and at the same time achieve their goals. Okay. And once you start acting in this manner, once you start communicating and behaving in this manner, trust me, you will get a very long-term commitment from every team member because they know that you are helping them to achieve what they want in their future. You're helping their future to take shape. And that's very, very important. And once you start doing this, they will trust you and they will support you, even if it means bending backwards. They will do their best to support you in your endeavor. The third thing, and this, as I said very often, I've said it in another episode also, we tend to delegate, but we don't tend to give autonomy. So, as a team leader, you need to give them autonomy. Definitely specify the what and the how. Don't just leave it to them to figure out the how. Guide them, give them a pathway. And of course, explain why, what and how, followed by a because, as we have said before. And once you have done that, then don't breathe down their necks and watch every move they make. Okay? Let them find their way. Guide them, give them an idea of what the path would be like. If possible, give them an idea of the challenges that they will face and they will have to resolve. Okay, but spell out the path. Don't detail it for them. Don't micromanage. Okay, and once you have given this, let them rise to the challenge of attaining and completing the task. And as I said, don't breathe down their neck. Nobody likes that. And that's one of the worst communication skills that you can, or habits that you can form. I wouldn't want to call it a skill. Okay. Continuing on how to increase the motivation within your team, check with others and check within your team as often as possible. I don't mean breathing down their necks, as I just said, but often check in with your team directly and check in with others to get an outside opinion of how your team is performing. Okay. So, and make sure that they are all the time on the right path and within the right timeline. The timeline is important. Okay. Missed timelines can cost a project heavily. Loss of sales, loss of market leadership, various things. Okay. So make sure that, and at the end of the day, please remember when you're breathing down their neck, you're being a nuisance. But when you're checking in on them, you are protecting yourself also. Because at the end of the day, if the project gets delayed or anything, it is your neck that is on the line directly, as far as the seniors and the organization is concerned. Ask them if they need help. Give them help if they want it, if they think that they need it. Okay, but don't do the job for them. Guide them, teach them, train them, but don't become the surrogate performer. Okay, so this is very important. Next thing is pay attention and stay informed about their lives outside work. I don't mean that you should pry. Okay, but there will be signals that, outside stresses come into work, just like your work stresses go home. Now, when you notice something like that, try to find out about their personal lives. Not only does this help you to create a personal rapport with that person, but that person will trust you more because he knows that you care. Okay? Don't pry unnecessarily. I have to repeat this. Don't pry unnecessarily. But pry or check rather. Find out what is troubling them and see if you can find some way to help them, either directly or indirectly. Okay, and doing this will give you more ways to relate with them. Normally, we can relate with them only when it is within the work sphere. Okay, and this will also help you to determine their attitude and demeanor at work, of why he's behaving and doing certain things at work the way he is. Be open and upfront. Okay, be honest, be direct. I think we've said this. Don't beat around the bush. Get to the point, even when giving feedback. Yes, there are pros and cons of giving the good news first and the bad news later, or the bad news first and the good news later. That is up to your determination of the person you are sitting across, how he's going to react to it. But eliminate your fear. There are times that I have talked to people where they fear giving honest feedback only because they don't want a confrontation. Guys, confrontation is going to be a part of your managerial duties. How you attend to it, how you address it without anger, without animosity, is what is going to determine your success. Because feedback is essential, not only to get the project moving properly, but also because you need that success for you to succeed, and also because that is going to help your team progress and improve themselves. Okay, and always, as I said, adopt the attitude of teaching and guiding, not of the surrogate task performer. Okay, and whenever you are communicating, be yourself. Don't try to project an image or a personality that is not you. People see through it. Your teammates will see through it. And when they see through it, and when they realize, actually what happens is you lose respect. They will lose some of the respect they have for you. Okay? And therefore be yourself. And in the same way, encourage others to be themselves. Even if you don't like the way they are, accept it. That's their nature, that's their character, that's their personality. In the same way, they will have to accept your personality and your character. Yes, if you've got a certain very strong negative aptitudes, correct them. You can't let those go on and on. Increased communication skills also need you to be open to continuous improvement. Keep your mind open. Don't shut your mind. Don't think that your team member doesn't know anything. Your team members at times know more than you do. And that is why you have them, because you don't know everything. So be open to the ideas and suggestions they come up with. And whenever the idea or suggestion does merit it, have a discussion either with that person or with the whole team, depending on how that decision or that suggestion is going to impact the project. Okay, and encourage the whole team to research and give you new ideas all the time. Okay, and evaluate all of those, as I said, and whenever it merits it, discuss it with your team or with this thing. Okay, implement them whenever you find that yes, what somebody has suggested, it's not your idea. And make sure that you give him credit that is due. Okay. Of course, credit is due to you also because you have gone through that. Okay. If you don't have proper communication with your teams, it can be detrimental in many ways. It leads to resentment. It leads to unwarranted internal competition. And often this competition leads to enmity and non-sharing of ideas and data. And this will undermine the entire project. Okay, it leads to a drop of productivity naturally. Okay, you will have missed goals, you will have missed deadlines, and you will have missed promotions for yourself. It leads to reduced collaboration and support within teams. Okay, because ideas don't get shared when there is internal competition, and the improvement takes a backseat. So effective communication makes teams more innovative, they improve faster, and the teammates empower each other, every one of their colleagues, to do better. Okay, they actually, as you say, they pull their colleagues up so that they perform better as a team. Okay, another very important thing is to build trust. Very important to build trust within your team. If your team trusts you, trust encourages dialogue. They will come and open up with you only if they trust you. So it encourages dialogue. The dialogue in turn leads to sharing of ideas and challenges that they face. And then you can address those challenges and research and work on those ideas to improve the team's performance. Trust often needs understanding of the other people's communication. I know times when certain people, I'll tell you of my driver. He was from South India, from Kerala. And the tone and the way in which he would talk, I often thought that he's being insolent. But that's not true. That's his style of communicating. Accept it. I had to accept it. And then he went on to work with me for 25 years. Okay. So accept that your driver has those communication styles and move on. Okay, it's not about good or bad. A communication style is not about, it's his way of communicating. Okay, and whenever there is a problem, get to the root of the problem. Find out what are the reasons, what are the things that lead to that problem. Okay, they are basically trust killers. And if you eliminate these trust killers, you and your team are going to perform far better. Okay. Another thing that managers and leaders will always have to do is to get into meetings. Okay. While it is important to get into meetings, I think what we will do is, considering the amount of time I have already taken, what we shall do is look at this in the next episode. And I hope whatever little we spoke today is of help. It helps you to lead your teams better. It helps you to become a better leader or a manager, whatever you wish to call yourself. At the end of the day, every person is a leader. Even one of your teammates is a leader. All of them could be leaders. But you are the one who's managing the team right now. Therefore, develop, hone your communication skills. We will look at certain aspects of how to deal with teams, either in meetings or on one-to-one, one-to-one sessions, and in the next session. In the meantime, have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Read this, learn this, hear this, rehear it if necessary, but go on to become a far better manager and learn how to communicate effectively with your teams. Thank you.